Hey guys, it's Matthew here from Commercial Deal Junkie, and I'm going to be going over how to find off-market real estate opportunities, especially in today's market with everything being so expensive and hard to find good deals. If you don't know who I am, my name is Matthew. I'm an investor and a commercial broker based out of Southern California, but I buy commercial property all around the country, currently in Florida, in Kansas, and in Ohio. And this is my step-by-step guide on finding off-market deals. Now, I'm buying commercial, so I use CoStar. You can go ahead and use Property Radar, or there are alternatives, but I use CoStar simply because I'm in the commercial space. If you're looking for residential off-market opportunities, there's Property Radar. There's a bunch of other ones too that will give you the same amount of information, so it really doesn't matter which one you end up using. Um, Whichever it is you want to get in there, and the subscriptions are probably going to be maybe $100 a month or something, but you really only need the subscription long enough to pull your list, download a list into a spreadsheet, which we'll go over in a moment. But first, you're going to go into this whatever software you're going to use, and you're going to create your buy box. And then when you're going off market, you need to have a very clear buy box. So I'm looking for multi-tenant strip centers, less than $100 a square foot, with good demographics. So I'm going to create the search, even though I have it saved here. I'm going to create the search to show you exactly step by step from logging into CoStar to how I create that list and ultimately download it. So under properties here, I can go find the filters, and this is where I'm going to create my buy box. So I am looking for, I'm not going to click anything here for sale or for lease. What I'm looking for is retail, property type retail, property size less than 20,000 square feet. Nope, I have that backwards. No minimum, 20,000 square feet. I'm looking for multi-tenant. I want it built after, where's the building age? 1980. Now, this all depends on what software you're using, but you need to have clear criteria on where you're looking, what kind of asset you're looking for, what is the size. The more you can narrow it down, typically you want a list between 2 to 500 properties because that makes it digestible. I want class A and class B properties. Parking ratio, I want a minimum of 3 per 1,000 square feet. 3 per 1,000 square feet. Let's see what else I like to have. So under demographics, I'm looking for property that are in higher. I'm trying to avoid lower income neighborhoods for these properties, and I also want there to be a decent amount of people, a certain population. Now, like I said, this criteria is going to change based on what you are looking for. So I want to see at least 50,000 average household income within a 1 mile radius, and I want at least 10,000 people within a 1 mile radius. Now, this is still going to give me personally, I'm not looking anywhere specific. I do really like Kansas. So I already have property in Wichita. So I'm going to narrow this down to Wichita, Kansas. So I only have 60 properties in Wichita, Kansas. I can zoom out and do all of Kansas. I also like Kansas City quite a bit. So I want it to include both Kansas City and Wichita. So I'm at 186 properties. So there's 186 properties in Wichita that are retail, class A or B, have a decent amount of parking, and meet my demographic requirements for household income and population within a 1 mile radius. So done. Here's my list. Obviously, most of them are going to be in Wichita or Kansas City because that's the major cities that are going to meet the population requirement. And now what I'm going to do here is I have all of these off-market properties. These are all properties that fit my buying criteria that are off-market. Okay. Now comes the hard work. So I'm going to export this. Whatever software you use, you should be able to export your results. I already have, you want to make sure that you're exporting the proper stuff. You want the property address, you want the property type, you want to make sure you have the owner address, the owner email, the owner phone number. You're trying to create this is my search criteria here: property address, city, state, zip code. I want to know how big the building is. That's important for me in retail. and then the owner name, owner phone, owner address, owner city, state, zip. Okay, now I'm going to export it. So off-market prospecting is all about contacting owners of properties that you know you're interested in. Okay. So I pulled all this information from all these properties. Here's the property address. Here's the city it's in, the state, the zip code. This is the owner's name, the owner's phone number, the owner's address, and the owner's address, city, state, zip. Now, because what I'm looking for is commercial, I'm a lot more likely to find LLCs or companies that own these properties, and we'll go over, you know, deep diving these properties in a moment. Now, I haven't done this. I'm doing this all for the first time in front of you guys. So let's go over it. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna want to hit them as many ways as possible. I always like starting with the phone because that tends to yield the highest results for my time. And my script is simple. Hey, my name's Matthew. I run a small investment fund, and I'm interested in making an offer on your property. Is that something you'd be open to? That's it. Sometimes they're like, no, how'd you get my number? Go to hell. But in most cases, they're like, what's your offer? That's usually the response I get. What's your offer? I'm like, okay, I just need a couple more details before I can send you over an LOI, something in writing that says I'm interested in buying the property at this. And for retail, I want to know occupancy. I want to know condition of the building. I want to know what the average rents are, what they're getting on a price per square foot basis. If it's multifamily, you want to know what's the condition, what's the occupancy, how much are the rents. So you're just going to go in and I'm going to start ringing these numbers. And before I call each number, I like to do a little bit more research about the property. I don't want to do too much because I want to get through these. And most of these are actually going to end up voicemail. Same thing, voicemail. Hey, my name's Matthew, reaching out about the property at 6863 91st Street. I'm interested in making an offer on the property. Give me a call back when you can. Phone number is enter your phone number. So for example, this one, I want to see what's going on here. So let's look at this property. Now, again, if you're looking single family, you can use Zillow to deep dive the property or whatever software you use, whether it's Property Radar or another one, there's a Genie one or something like that. So I can see it's sitting on 2 acres, 15,000 square feet. There's vacancy there. They're advertising 2,000 square foot available, and they're trying to get $15 a square foot with $5.50 in CAM. So I'm looking over this property and I need to be able to figure out what I can offer. So if you don't know how to underwrite property and get to a number on where you can feel comfortable offering, I have another video on that where I deep dive property and go like, okay, this property, I feel comfortable offering, let's say $1 million. I feel comfortable offering on this property. So I run my numbers and I know, based on what I'm seeing, but a lot of it's based on the information that they're going to give me. It's really hard to put a number on a property without having, the details, at least how much rent they're all collecting. So now that I know some details about the property, I know where it is. I've looked at it on the map. I see where it is. It does indeed fit my buying criteria. I would be happy owning an asset like this. Now I'm going to go and give this owner a ring. So this one's owned by a company. So I recommend taking it a step further because a lot of people are just going to be dialing this number, but I want to know a little more about this company. Now, it's a balance. The more research you do, the less calls and contacts you're going to be able to make, but it gives you a leg up when you actually do get someone on the phone or when you communicate with them. So some people will make the initial call, and then if they get on the phone with someone and open up a line of dialogue, then they'll deep dive the property even further. They'll deep dive the place even further. But if it's owned by a company, all the details on this company are public, at least who the registered agent is. So if I just go here and I'm going to look up Kansas Secretary of State business search, now I want to go to the .gov one. This one will work too. And I can just copy and paste this and it'll tell me who the owner of this company is. Of course, this one, no results found. Let's try taking off this. Still nothing. Let's try this. So I'm not sure which one of these it is. So this one, it's going to be hard to deep dive. You can also Google them to try to get a deeper look. on who they are. Real estate, sports, and entertainment is a real estate investment and development firm specializing in commercial property. So this is the owner. These are the contacts. You can also reach. I'm telling you, you gotta hit them multiple ways. It's not just going to be one way where you're going to be able to. You really gotta hit them all the ways you can. So there's another direct phone number here, which is probably different than the one here. So I tried this number. If it like, hey, I was sometimes I'll call and go like, hey, I'm trying to reach Joe. So I'm going straight trying to reach the senior vice president of this company. So you really have to get creative. And then at that point, it's just hit the pavement, off market prospecting. It's not easy, but that you're going to be the only one bidding on this property. They don't have this one listed for sale. So there's not a bunch of people trying to make offers on this. So you just reach out, you build a relationship with them, you talk to them, you can see if there's any interest in them actually selling. And then you make notes on the spreadsheet. So I'll turn this into a notes tab. I'll stretch this out, and then I go like left voicemail. I also like to color code. So if it's voicemail, I'll make it yellow. If I got someone on the phone and we had a conversation, I'll make it light green. If they showed any interest to actually hearing an offer, I'll turn it dark green. So I like if I wasn't able to reach them, I'll turn it, if it's a voicemail, gray. If I couldn't find the right phone number, I'll turn it gray. So create your own system. But the point is, you have to be consistently hitting these people up. So if you leave a voicemail for this person, you got to look for other numbers. You got to actually try to find a home address. You can send letters. You got to hit them multiple ways. Maybe this guy has an email here. He does have an email here. So you can go ahead and hit him up on email. Try to email the guy. Hey, my name's Matthew. You can even have something where you copy paste it. Offer on retail center on 19th Street. That's what I like to put for the subject. Hey, you can have something that you can copy paste and just edit it. Hey, probably go hello. Hello, Joe. My name is Matthew. I run a small investment firm. We're interested in putting an offer on your property on 19th Street. Would you be open to hearing an offer? That's typically where the line I'll use when buying property. So that's the gist of it. The point is you got to go multiple ways. Like the off market, for example, the last off market property I got, I couldn't get a hold of the guy on the phone. It was listed as a company. I found out who owned the company. Phone number there wasn't connecting, was disconnected. I kept looking, found other phone numbers, left voicemails, and then I found the guy's work email. It wasn't an investment firm. It was just an LLC. A guy created an LLC, bought the property. So I found the guy's email, but it was a work email. He was an executive at Comcast. So I ended up emailing him, and then he emailed me back, and we kept going back and forth, and I ended up buying the property. We agreed on the price. I sent him a purchase and sale agreement. He signed it. Sent that purchase and sale agreement to an escrow company. You don't need an agent if you're going off market. Now, if this is your first property, you may want to get an agent involved to help facilitate the process, or an attorney, but the title company will help you do that. And this is an old one that I had. And you can see as I went through, I hit up all these people. Red means they weren't interested. I left a voicemail, and then I sent them a text. I sent them a letter. And this is all the notes I have on these individual properties. Most of them, you're going to end up leaving voicemails. You got to follow up. You sent a voicemail, you come back a week later and follow up. And now that I have Joe's email here, I should create a column. Answer column right, call it email. And then I'll go ahead and enter Joe's email here. So I try to give him a ring. He doesn't answer, leave a voicemail. And then I'll send him an email. I'm also going to try this number right here for Joe Beck, which is the senior VP. So it's going out. It's trying to get a hold of them, because this one's also for lease. There's going to be a leasing agent on here. So I can call the leasing agent and say, hey, do you know if the owner would be interested in an offer on the property instead of leasing it? So I'm also going to call this broker here. You got to get creative. You got to go out. You got to hit them. You got to build those relationships. I also highly recommend a CRM, especially if you're going to do this at scale, and you're going to call 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 people, you're going to start building relationships with a bunch of different owners. And you want to stay in touch with them. You want to remember what you said to who, and what the conversation was about. There's a million different CRMs out there. I don't have any relationship with a specific one. I use CRE OneSource. There's nothing special about it. It's just the one I like to use, where I just have different owners like him. I sent the offer, follow up about the property, follow up about the offer on the land, try other phone numbers. So I just use this as a way to stay organized on all the owners I've reached out to and stayed in contact with. Now, hands down, the best way to get property is off market, especially if you're trying to buy stuff from below what it's worth. This is the best way to do it. It's labor intensive. It does take a lot of work, but it works. You can also get a VA to do this. Like, this one was actually done by a VA, this spreadsheet, where I trained a virtual assistant. After I did it for a while, I learned how to do it. I bought some successful off-market deals. So I got a virtual assistant, trained him how to make these calls. And you can get virtual assistants from, I know there's jobs.ph, or there's a bunch of other ones, but they'll go in and they'll make the calls, and they'll speak as if they work for the investment firm. Hey, my virtual assistant, his name is Jay. So he knows to say, hey, my name is Jay. I work at, Superior Capital. We're looking to buy retail strip centers. We're interested in making an offer on your strip center in Cincinnati. Would you be open to an offer on your building? That's it. Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no, sometimes they say, okay, what's the offer? Most of the time when they get what's the offer, the VA's job is just to collect details. I want to know, what the income is on the property, what the expenses are, what's the square footage, what's the condition of the property, what's the term left on the leases. So his job is just to collect as much information from me as possible, put it into the CRM, assign it to me. Like, we had an initial conversation with this guy. This is the information I was able to get from him. I'll either give the prospect a call back and try to collect more information, or I'll go ahead, run my numbers, and figure out what offer I can make on the property based on the information I was able to collect. That's it. That's off market. Sign up with an online platform to collect the data. Whether if it's commercial, I recommend CoStar, although CoStar is not cheap, but you can actually use Property Radar or any of the other ones for residential or commercial. So you can go in and look up commercial property on Property Radar. It's like $100 a month, but you only need to sign up for 1 month. Pull a list of like 1,000 properties, and that'll keep you busy for several weeks. So you don't have to keep the subscription. And then once you have that, you download it into an Excel document, and then you just go in and you start hitting them one by one. And then preferably the ones that are actually, receptive to an offer, those you put into a CRM so you can enter all the data on the property and, keep notes on the conversations you had. So that's off market. It's simple, but not easy. You actually have to go out there and send the letters and make the calls and send the emails, but it does work. For my experience, I have about a 10% response rate. So that means out of every 100 I try to contact, I'll be able to reach 10 of them. From the 10, 5 will even be open to hearing an offer. Some of them are just curious. They won't actually be interested in selling, but they're like, oh, someone wants to make an offer on my property. What are they willing to offer? And that's where you can go put it together. From the 5, you may end up sending 3 letter of intents. From the 3, maybe one of them will start negotiating back. It may take a couple hundred properties before someone is actually being realistic about the sales price and it's a property you actually want to buy. So go out there, make the lists, put them into Excel, and then start hunting. As you get comfortable and the process, then you can start hiring people to help make those calls for you or with you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go out there, happy hunting, like, subscribe. I'm going to be making a whole bunch of videos about how I buy commercial property, how I'm growing my commercial property portfolio. A lot of it is applicable to residential as well, but I'm a commercial property investor, started in the residential space. So subscribe to follow my journey, and I will catch you guys on the next one.